Unlike any sales rep, your website works 24/7 around the clock to either attract qualified leads and drive revenue, or do the exact opposite and repel your dream fit prospect. Hey, I'm Sam Dunning, founder over at BreakingB2B.com. In this episode, we're going to dive into exactly how you can research, design, and build your B2B website to attract, qualify, build trust with, and convert dream clients into a steady flow of qualified leads and pipeline. Everything from initial research to design tips to content and more. We'll also dive into a few tips on the SEO front to make sure your website gets in front of those dream clients when they're searching for what you do on Google to drive those inbounds in. So with that, let's dive into the episode.
Why do you think websites and salespeople are the same? What do B2B tech companies get wrong when they're starting SEO? And the third thing, and we're going to talk about your LinkedIn content, like the Ask the Public series and how that's going for you. Okay, so why do you think terrible salespeople and websites are the same, Sam? What's going on there?
Yeah, sure thing. So I often ramble on LinkedIn, as do many others, that your website can be a 24/7 sales rep, as unlike a salesperson that you may or may not hire, they typically would only work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, whereas your website can be working around the clock, either helping to grow your business, trust, brand, and revenue, or doing the exact opposite. I'll share a quick story that will give you some context. So some time ago, this is probably going back 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, someone connected with me on LinkedIn, they dropped me a DM, and they reached out with a problem that I had at the time. So it was relevant. And it was for some piece of software. I can't even remember. It might have been a piece of CRM or something similar. And because I had a need at the time, that cold outreach was super relevant. So I said, yeah, I'll hop on a demo. So we booked the demo. I jumped on the Zoom with that sales rep. And it was probably one of the worst calls I ever had. So they introduced themselves and then went on to talk about their company for about 2 minutes, like where they're set up, their founders, the awards they'd won. Then they talked about the tool for another 5 minutes. Then they were sharing all their client wins, all their results. Probably about 15 minutes in, the sales rep hadn't asked me one question to understand if I was facing any of the problems they fix. Hadn't even asked anything about my world, my current state, where I'm trying to get to, my goals, the results I want to achieve out of this. And probably about 20 minutes in, if that, I had to cut it short. I said, dude, like, you've just talked about how great you are for 15 minutes. You haven't bothered to ask me anything. I haven't even seen anything of your offer or your demo. Let's cut it off. Wish you all the best, but it just isn't for me. So the worst sales folk ever just talk about how great they are, their offer, and how amazing they are. And it's the same with websites. That's how it links back to websites.
And this is recent. You sure that wasn't that phone call wasn't with me? Because that sounds like my first sales demo call 4 years ago. And I got so excited. I was on the call and I was so enthusiastic because I really like the product. And I was like, it can do this and it can do that. And it's great. It does all these things. And then finally, the owner of the company was like, hey, I know you really like the product, but that's not how you should do a demo cost. So what should a website, how do you make it so that it's working for you 24/7 and it's not destroying your brand and it doesn't suck?
Yeah, so I'll go through some high level basics. So basically do the opposite of that sales career. So you've probably been there. You might have been on a tech company's website or a software company's website or just a B2B website in general. And so many of them, what I call ego driven. So they're driven mainly by the founders or the CEOs or the exec team and what they think looks cool, sounds good, is going to look good on there. As opposed to what you should be doing is building for dream clients or focused buyers, AKA the folks that are going to land on your site and potentially work with you or request a call or book a demo, whatever that next step is. Because you've got a warehouse full of your software. You've got an unlimited supply of what you're providing. You don't need to buy any more of it. Why should it please you? It should please the folks you actually want to do business with. So you've probably been there where you've been on a website, you've read their headline and it's something super jargon focused and confusing, clear as mud, where it's something like, we help you 10x your revenues with our all-in-one wizardry platform that's going to skyrocket revenue for the next 365 days. And you've read the headline and you're thinking, not sure what this does. Scroll down a bit further on the homepage. Nope, still no idea. Scroll right down to the foot. No, I'm still clueless. Like, I have no idea what problem this fixes, how it helps me, or how it's going to improve a job that I'm trying to get done. So in short, clarity is your friend. just like messaging, copywriting 101 or your website. So there's a test that you can run called the grunt test on your website. And basically that was coined by a chap called Donald Miller, I believe. And it basically, the principle is within a few seconds of landing on your website homepage, the top section, the hero or the banner area, could you stick your website in front of a caveman, sitting in their cave, grumbling away? They've seen your site for the first time ever. And could they, within a few seconds of firing up that laptop, understand exactly what you do, how it helps them, and how to either learn more or take that next step? If not, your website is not hitting the mark, and you're potentially getting folks that are bouncing off and maybe going to a competitor or getting frustrated and getting a sour taste in their mouth about what you do. That's the first step, but there's a ton more.
Yeah, Sam, I'm guilty of that. When I first launched B2B Pod Pros, I found a catchy headline I saw it on another website and I made it my own. And I thought it was fantastic because I understood the product and I got it. And then I shared it with a few people and I'm like, hey, can you just take a look at my homepage, give me feedback? And a couple of people came back and they circled the headline and they were like, yeah, I'm not really sure what this means, or I don't really get this. And that's when I realized, yeah, I think I need to write for the intended user and not necessarily what gets me excited.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much that you can do to make your website resonate. One of the most powerful words I could say when it comes to website design, messaging, copy, and the way you build it out on terms of your main pages is resonating with target prospects, target clients. And there's a whole bunch we could talk about around customer research, doing calls with We Shouldn't Be One clients or target prospects. But carrying on with some of those basics, like if we were to flip that sales demo on its head, and instead of doing what I talked about, where I had to hop off the call early, but if that salesperson had taken the time to understand my world, any problems, any frustrations, like the root cause of those problems, the impact those problems were having, where I wanted to get to, and then after doing all that, then building trust with me, like saying, okay, I understand X, Y, Z is the problem, and this is the impact it's having on your business, and this is where you want to get to. Here's how we've helped similar folks. This is the process. Here's some examples of results. Here's the pricing, and here's the next step. And your website should do the same, right? A lot of, especially in the B2B world, a lot of folks are coming in probably with some level of education on your offer. If they found you through search or an ad, a recommendation, however they've been referred to your website. And typically on my podcast, Breaking B2B, we've interviewed like 380 B2B execs. And from that data, we've drilled it down and understand B2B execs want to go on your site, quickly get an idea of what you do, problem you fix, and how it helps them. They want to see your offer in action. So if it's a SaaS tool or software, they want to see some kind of live demo, video examples, GIF examples, etc. They want to see some proof of results. So that might be case studies, customer testimonials, video reviews, examples. They want to check your pricing. So they want to see they can actually afford your offer before they take the time to speak to a salesperson. They want to get their common questions answered. So any FAQs around integration, pricing, setup. And then on the basis you check those boxes, they want to make it nice and easy for them to book a call or schedule a time to book a demo or whatever that next step is. So if you do that stuff, you're ahead of 97% of most B2B websites.
Yeah. And I think the other thing the guy got wrong that on that phone call, the salesperson, is that it sounds to me like he didn't even Google your name, because if he at least Googled your name, he would have realized who you were and how you are like the SEO superstar and one of the top SEO gurus out there. And I would have greeted you that way. Hey, I'm talking to the Sam Dunning. This guy probably knows his stuff, at least in the tech space, but it sounded like he didn't even know who you were.
Yeah. To be fair to him, this was going back 4 or 5 years ago. So I wasn't that big on LinkedIn. The podcast might have just started. So I was less of a nobody than I am now. But yeah, like you said, if someone's booked a demo or discovery call with you, like you said, a quick flick on their LinkedIn. Are you tired of competitors ranking above you on Google, stealing traffic, leads, and mindshare from dream clients every time they're searching for your services or offers on Google? At Breaking B2B, we fix that with our unusual approach to SEO, content marketing, and websites. We craft B2B SEO strategies and websites for revenue, not vanity. Head over to breakingb2b.com to check our results, pricing, or to book a call with me.
All right, let's jump into the second topic, and that is, what do B2B tech companies get wrong when they're starting their SEO process or SEO campaign or just whatever they're trying to build out their SEO?
Yeah, so much. So a common thing that often happens when it comes to SEO is, I think a lot of tech companies, so perhaps the founder or the first marketing hire might not have the best knowledge on SEO. So the common scenario might be the founder or the owner of the business says, we've been relying too much on ads or outbound sales or whatever channel or existing network, or if we've been funded, like our VCs have given us all our clients to now. Every time I Google what we do or the problem we fix or our solution, I can see competitors ahead of us. It's getting annoying. I know that we're missing out on Google search, organic, to drive traffic and inbound. So they'll raise that. They'll realize that's an issue. They'll say, look, we need to fix it. And they'll either try themselves or they'll task their marketing lead. They'll say, we've got to do SEO. They'll treat it as a tick box activity. The marketer will probably head onto a tool like 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲 or SEMrush and go, okay, let's look at a few keywords around our offering. All right, these look low difficulty. Okay, let's build out a couple blogs. All right, we're going to do how to do X, how to do Y. Chuck that into ChatGPT or a similar AI tool. Going to do that. Okay, I've built a couple articles, chuck them on the website, right back to my other 99 jobs that I've got to do this month on my checklist. And I'll treat it as a checklist activity. Then the founder will probably go back to the marketer and say, how did SEO go? And they'll be like, yeah, it's okay. We're ranking for a few of these keywords. And then they'll ask, how many demos or leads did that drive? None. And they'll be like, why is that? You just asked me to do SEO. I did some SEO. So it's going in with just a random, like, scattergun approach strategy. Okay, let's chuck out a few articles. And you've only got to scroll LinkedIn and you'll see some folks posting these crazy graphs, like how we got 10,000 visits in 20 days. And then I'll post in the comments, oh, cool, really good work on the traffic. How many demos or how many leads did it drive? And then there's just crickets because it was just some random top of the funnel query that just drives a lot of traffic but drives zero revenue. The long story short is that folks take the wrong approach of SEO. They start at the top of funnel or with a random strategy with articles, as opposed to what we call revenue focused SEO, where you're actually working on what is my dream client searching for when they're ready to have a sales conversation now. So in our case at Breaking B2B, we literally, one of the first exercises we did was we fired up a Google sheet and we listed out like what are the main types of businesses we want to work with. So that could be like B2B SaaS, fintech, SaaS companies, and so on. What are the main offers that we want to be selling? In our case, SEO, web design, podcast production. And what are the main kind of frustrations, problems, impact of those problems and results that these companies have? And when you're doing that list for your company, you want to make sure these are industries that, one, have the problem you fix, two, are motivated to fix it, realize it's an issue, and three, actually have the cash to invest in that offer. Because there's no point trying to wasting money on an SEO campaign or wasting resource on an SEO campaign, going after a target market that may have the problem you fix but doesn't have the cash to invest in your offer. So that's super important. And then like one of the simplest things you can do is once you've listed out all those industries you want to go after and the main offers or products or services that you want to sell to them, is building out using a search tool, whether it's 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲, SEMrush or similar, finding out what search terms are relevant for those offers and then building out an exhaustive list of all those bottom of the funnel landing pages that you can build out and trying to build a best in class page for each one of those offers initially and really exhausting what we call bottom of the funnel or revenue driven SEO. So that's an approach that a lot of companies just don't do properly. Like they dabble at it and then they'll do some blog articles and a lot of that gets missed. There's a ton of other strategies to B2B SaaS SEO. That's just one of them.
Yeah. The marketing strategist who you described earlier, I was thinking to myself, yeah, that's me. I will do some SEO and I'm not a professional at it. And I just do some, just check the box. But I've been seeing your content on LinkedIn and you really hone in on diving into the bottom of the keyword funnel. And I have an interesting story for you because I think you're going to be fascinated by this. The other day, I asked myself the question, if next year I want to drive, let's just say $500,000 in revenue for B2B pod pros, what do I need to do to make that happen? And you know what? After thinking about it, the answer was pretty clear to me, was that I need to rank on the first page in Google for a bottom of the funnel keyword like B2B podcast media network. My brand needs to be there. And that was like clear as day. That's the one thing that I need to focus on. There's other things that I've been doing, but I was thinking that's the one thing I need to focus on if I want to do about $500,000 in revenue next year. And so I've been pushing out that content about concentrating on the bottom of the funnel keywords like comparison or alternatives to other competitors. So it really hit home with me. That's one of the reasons that you're on the show today, is because I think what you preach is very valuable, not just for B2B tech companies, but I think for any businesses that are out there and really want to get to that next level in business growth. And I think what you're saying is very valuable. There's something else that you recently did, is that you secured 3 spots on Google for one keyword. And I want to ask you a little bit about that. What was that one keyword and how did you do it?
think I've done it for a few now, but I think one of the recent ones was like B2B SEO guide. I've got a bunch around B2B SEO guides, B2B SEO playbook, B2B web design guide, and that kind of stuff. Those are the usual terms I tend to go after. But to share the strategy rather than just me rambling on, is this is like a little hack, a little tip that you can do, and it involves YouTube. So it involves video. So basically, to go through the long story, the shortened version of this is, let's pretend you've mapped out maybe a keyword that you really want to, that's going to be powerful for your niche, that's maybe going to drive some qualified traffic and potentially leads. So let's say you build out a best-in-class page for that. So usually when you build out pages, you want to review the search engine, like top 3 organic rankings pages, see what format they are. It's called measuring the search intent. So are they solution pages, service pages, blog articles? Are they listicles? Are they comparisons? What are they? What's ranking? Okay, once you assess that, you know what type of page you need to build. You can assess what actually ranks and then review those competitors and look for gaps that you can improve on, that you can double down on, and you can basically provide more detailed, more helpful, more useful, more educational, more trustworthy content to have a chance of ranking top. Let's pretend you've done that, you've built out the page. One of my tips is to then, whatever's relevant to that topic, build out a how-to, walkthrough, guide, example YouTube video on the topic. And I usually stick that like in the hero area with the headline and call to action. And what that does is a few things. One, you've built out a YouTube video that's searchable because it's how to do something, or a guide or a playbook or an examples. So that alone is evergreen searchable content on YouTube that can get traction, build a brand, drive leads. You embed that into that page that you're building out, and that can increase your click-through rate on Google search results, because for some keywords that might show your listing as normal in the SERPs, but also a thumbnail next to it of your video. But not only that, for some search terms on Google, they have a video section. So sometimes if you do a search on mobile or search on desktop, you'll see the video results. So you can actually get 3 results in the video tab. It usually shows 3 thumbnails, plus your organic search result, which can be 4. So 4 rankings. And if you do an ad, you could even get 5. Wow. So you can literally dominate the SERPs if you take that approach. And that's just what we've done for some of those keywords, like I think SEO, B2B SEO playbook, some B2B website, B2B web design terms. You'll just see 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲 3 times in the video search bar.
I'm curious, is your website getting more traffic than your YouTube channel, or what's the split there?
YouTube's probably higher. I mean, our website, so only just over 90 days. So whilst we have got some decent keywords ranking around B2B SEO and web design, YouTube's doing, I don't know, 10, 11K views a month, something like that. So I think YouTube's a bit higher, but the YouTube channel's been going like 4+ years, so it makes sense. Got
you. And your main call to action in your YouTube videos, is it like a link in the description that you have, or what?
I wish I could give you sound advice on YouTube, because I'm yet to crack it. I'm 4 years into YouTube and I'm only 1.5K subs. It's usually relevant to the content. If it's a podcast interview on Breaking B2B, then I'll say check out the newsletter. If it's a dedicated topic on SEO, I might say, then at the end, I might say, if you want to book a call, go to the website. So it's usually contextual, but I'm yet to crack the YouTube algorithm.
Okay. All right. Okay, good segue into our third topic, which I'm a big fan of. You've got this series on LinkedIn called Ask the Public, and you're asking various people on the street, what is the first thing they think of when they hear marketer or a salesperson or LinkedIn? And it's not just this content's that funny, but a lot of your content is really engaging and funny. You did this series called SEO Fella, and it was like in black and white. You got like Tony Bennett in the background. You and Babyface, I don't know if that's a colleague or whoever, are like murdering this guy, putting a bag over his face and making it look like you're throwing his body over the roof and putting it into the car because he ratted you out to the Google police. And then you got like this SEO Superman guy too. But where is this coming from? Has this always been like, I don't know, part of your creative approach? And what's the process that you have in there? Do you devote like a certain number of hours a month to like producing this content?
Yeah, I wish I could say that there was a perfect strategy that I followed, but there definitely wasn't. Like, we've been messing around with these unusual videos on LinkedIn for at least 2 or 3 years. And like you say, we've done anything from SEO man, SEO police, SEO fellas, the SEO father. Like, we've done so many spoofs and spin-offs over the years, and they're a combination of like me and at the time some colleagues and my video guy who's a friend. Like, often what we'll do is we'll meet in Costa or a coffee place, we'll brainstorm, we'll get the notepad out, and we'll just come up with a load of ideas in the morning for like half an hour, and then the same day we'll shoot it, he'll edit it, and we'll have it ready like within the day. So that's usually how we've done. That's what we've done for the one-off videos that you can find on the LinkedIn and the YouTube. And then the Ask the Public stuff, that was very much like I'd seen on YouTube. I think there's a channel called the School of Hard Knocks where this guy his is a bit different. Like he goes up to folks in really wealthy areas in the States and asks them like, how did you build up a business? And how did you become an entrepreneur? And they share their secrets. And I thought, no one's done this in the B2B space. Like, I could just ask random people on the street, like B2B marketing questions, and they'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? That could be funny. So it's just these kind of things. Like I'm always trying to think, how can we differentiate? How can I do something that's relevant to what we do at Breaking B2B, but it's going to make people remember us, is going to be funny and a bit different to what anyone else is doing. So I'm always brainstorming ideas, and that Ask the Public seemed to do quite well on some of those questions, like where I was just asking random people, what is SEO, or how would you get to the top of Google, or does cold calling still work? Like I asked someone that was walking across a bridge, hey sir, do you think cold calling still works? And he said, no, it bloody doesn't. I'm a policeman. Like you shouldn't do it. And I was like, oh Christ. It's just good fun, man.
Yeah, there was one guy, I think you asked him, what do you think about LinkedIn? And he said something like, yeah, I don't think about it and I don't use it. And he just walked off.
Yeah. Or what do you think about LinkedIn? He was like, who's he?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a brilliant series. And for those listening, if you haven't seen it yet, you got to follow Sam Dunning and catch some of that content. I feel like it does differentiate you with other people. Do you think it's helped in terms of building your personal brand and getting you on other big podcasts as a guest and maybe even speaking events and things like that?
Probably a bit. These days, a lot of the stuff that I've done is just longevity and sticking things out longer than anyone else that's smarter than me would do. So a lot of the things that I've grown, like the podcast, literally when I started our podcast, like over 4 years ago now, Breaking B2B, folks were like, even some people that I liked, that there's no point starting a podcast. It's a waste of time. Like you're not going to drive any business from it and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, fuck you. I'm doing this because I enjoy it and because I want to learn from people smarter than me. And eventually we tweaked it. We refined it over time and made it actionable. So I was doing solo episodes, sharing actionable tips on websites, SEO, podcasting, interviewing marketing leaders, making new relationships, sharing their stories. And we were driving business through sponsorships, through inbound leads, direct to Breaking B2B. So yeah, it's one of those things, right? Can I directly attribute revenue to asking people on the street what they think about LinkedIn and SEO? Possibly not, but does it keep me top of mind when people need help with SEO? Yes.
Yeah. The other thing too is that over time, you see somebody's content, and over time, if they're like doing the same thing, talking about the same topic, utilizing the same format, you feel like, okay, I already know what they do, already know what they're talking about, and you start to scroll past their content and not even care anymore. Whereas your stuff, it's refreshing, it's new, it's funny, it's hilarious. And so I think that's one of the things that makes you stand out on LinkedIn versus other, creators, in lack of a better word.
And there you have it. A big thank you to Eric for having me on the Innovators Can Laugh podcast. And as always, if you want to join thousands of legends getting my weekday B2B marketing email tips for some weird website and SEO ideas, unusual experiments, case studies, as well as fresh podcast updates, head over to breakingb2b.com and hit that newsletter tab. And with that, I should catch you on the next one. Cheers.